morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Excuse the entry. It's a lady on Twitter and I just thought it was hilarious. I don't normally really remark on people's actual clothes, but I just couldn't believe that one. How wrinkled and beige Meghan was at her latest appearance, welcoming Afghan women from war-torn zones and stuff. Like, I just don't believe it's genuine that she actually cares. Anyway, this is going to be a bit more of a chat. Firstly, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I don't ever say like and subscribe because the reason I don't say it, and I don't criticise other YouTubers for doing it, because YouTube's a bit of a weird old thing, isn't it? They unsubscribed me from Graham's channel, and we live in the same house. And I know that the bots do this, they unsubscribe us. And for a long time with my channel, if I get near the turn of a century on a number, then I actually watch it at that point, and it unsubscribes one person on the hour, every hour, and it does that for about 24 hours until I'm like at say 120. Then it stops, it gives up, or it's something to do with Sugar's mass reporting. I don't know why it happens, but who cares why it happens. I'd like to thank all of you who have subscribed. Trevor Cook particularly has been so sweet and really pumping it, because I was so close to the 40,000, which at the moment of filming I am. But as I say, YouTube will remove one subscriber every hour on the hour, or somebody out there may have a computer program to put a complaint in on the hour, every hour. And so then it, you get so many complaints or so many thumbs down, it unsubscribes someone. That is another possibility. But thank you, Trevor. And thank you all you good people who have voluntarily subscribed as a result, because I don't want anyone to feel bullied into subscribing to my channel. Goodness sake. Wait, anyone who's new to the channel, well, firstly, welcome aboard, fellow earthlings. And secondly, I don't think you really know what you've let yourself in for. Because I am a little bit opinionated. And I'm not political. I never talk about politics, but sometimes I say things and put my foot in it, which clearly affect somebody in the world and their life, however things are politically. I don't intend to do that. I'm just talking generally about how I see things, and in a lot of situations, I'm actually talking about it on the surface, on the face of it, how I see it, which is a really ignorant point of view. I do love telling off Harry Windsor a lot, and I like critiquing Meghan Markle, as you've seen. But thank you, Trevor, and thank you to all of you who subscribed. Particularly thank you to the lady who subscribed thinking that I actually knew anything about gardening. Then discovered I know nothing about gardening and got into the Meghan and Harry thing. I really love that. I love that. So here's to 40,000 for the time being, but I'm sure YouTube will reduce it. Can you imagine if we were all in a room, or if we had we could have a Vegas meetup, couldn't we? Maybe one day. Anyway, I thought we'd just sort of have a general chat. So that opening thing, I'll edit it, put full credit to the lady on Twitter. Lady or gentleman, well, I don't actually know. I just thought it was hilarious, that one with the curtains opening. And I shall close this video with that as well, I think, because it is a work of art. And it really sums up the beige crumpled look. Now, this evening, I am cooking, well, either really, really small bantam chickens, or what are they called? I can't remember the name of it now. They do quails, little quails. And it cost me life and limb. I'm not joking. I'll show you first. Oh my God. We got beaten up by a Spanish granny at Carrefour, verbally speaking. She didn't actually hit either of us. She came quite close to hitting me. And just because I walked away, I was like, oh God, stop talking to me. Leave me alone. So those are our little chickens that we're having for dinner tonight. I didn't actually know that I was going to pass 40,000, so it's not like a celebration thing. Actually went in there for pork. They kind of roast pork joint where you can have crackling. Oh God, yeah, this granny. Graham pulled into a parking space that apparently she'd been waiting for. And obviously there's a bit of a language barrier. And she came at me. And I'm not the driver, I wasn't fucking driving the car. Oh my God, she come at me. And I do speak Spanish, but I thought you were an abuela. She's like this tall. And I thought, I don't want to get into one in Spanish with you about who's parking in Carrefour supermarket or where. So I just walked away. And next thing I know, she's calling me a whore, like in Spanish. But I'm very familiar with that term. Top of her voice. And then she said, I'm going to call the police. And I said to her in English, call the police? What are you talking about? Leave me alone. So I went shopping. Meanwhile, Graham said, I'd better stay with the car. The granny might get a knife out and stab the tyres. I said, oh, okay, good idea. So I got those 2 little chickens, some mint sauce. I know, that's kind of weird to have with chicken, but we were going to have lamb or pork. And I bought something else, but I've forgotten now from the trauma. I was supposed to get washing up liquid and a ton of other stuff, but I was just so traumatised by this old lady. And I went back out and she'd flagged down a police car, told the police God knows what. So I'm going to tell you story time about certain behaviours tonight. And police came round just as we were pulling out of our parking space. They boxed us in, 2 big lads, get out. Right, what's going on here? So we have to get out the car. Get out the car! And Graham's like, oh my God, what the fuck? They want ID and everything, and they're all very stern. Meanwhile, this little granny's like, and we're like this. They run our names through the computer. Of course, we come back completely clean because we've never had any problems in Spain. And by the end of it, the police sort of said to this granny, it's not illegal to park in a space in Carrefour. It was really busy. We can't arrest them for this. They don't have criminal records. And she just went away. Now, this, believe it or not, is not uncommon behaviour. And this is one of the reasons that I sort of got into Meghan Markle in the first place, because one of the reasons I believe she is so unpopular are her peculiar fan base that love to over-exaggerate, big up, talk about all of us, say that we're racist, we're haters, we want to kill her. All this nonsense that nobody ever said anywhere and should really be filed under B for bullshit. The newspapers never called her the N-word. It is illegal to use the N-word, and quite right too. It's illegal to use any of those racist terms, but it didn't stop her Netflix docuseries from claiming that the British press had called her the N-word. Because Rachel Johnson, sister of the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, had made a reference to what is it? I can't even remember the name of the place. That's how well known it is to me. She said something Compton. But the context in which Rachel said it was in defence of Meghan Markle. And I'm not getting political, but obviously Rachel is a journalist and her brother Boris was the Prime Minister. And they frequently clash, oddly enough, because Boris Johnson is strongly conservative, which would be the right wing of the spectrum. Not far right, but he is on the right wing. Whereas his sister Rachel has always come across as more left-leaning. So it always seemed very odd to me that the Sugars and Harry and Meghan chose to attack Rachel, who was actually trying to defend and be nice. Oh my God. So it's like the twisting. These kind of people, like Markle, and they like to abuse and talk to people like shit, like Meghan accusing the royal family of racism on Oprah and causing them a ton of shit with all that, and all the Netflix, he's your brother, you deal with him, and all that crap, right? And then when the police turn up, they go, oh, officer, no, I'm the innocent victim. No, I never did any of those things. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. So I might title this video, "You are not allowed to watch this video," or "Do not watch this video," just to see how many of you are naughty, disobedient people, just for a laugh. It's got nothing to do with it. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. That's a bit clickbaity, isn't it? Maybe I won't call it that. Anyway, as a lot of you who've been following me for a long time now, I have worked at the Dolphin Safari in Gibraltar for 14 years. And a large part of my job has been working in the office. Now, the major thing that's really important when you are dealing with wildlife and wild animals, the sea, a boat, the elements, and customers you've never met before, who may or may not have ever set foot on a boat, it's essential to be 100% honest with them. It's essential to make sure that they feel comfortable if they've got any doubts or questions before they pay, even after they pay, all of the time, that they can ask what they like and what they need. That is the major basic thing. Now, unfortunately, there are occasionally very dishonest people, and this has happened over a 14-year period. I have experienced this at the Dolphin Safari with the customers, some, a very small percentage, being really dishonest. Like Meghan Markle, who told a load of lies, like she got married 3 days before she got married. Like was giving a narrative there on Oprah, which makes me wonder if this is like the scenarios I experienced at Dolphin Safari. That's one of the reasons that I follow her, is because I'm interested in bad behaviour generally. I think most of us agree the whole world could do with a lot more manners. Now, the first time it happened to me, I was just taken by surprise. Customer comes in, not happy, effing and blinding and threatening at me, and I had to take it. Yes, sir, no, sir, absolutely, sir, I'm sorry, sir, I can't give you a refund, sir. And the customer phoned the police. When the police turned up, the customer told the police that I was the one who had been effing and blinding at him, and he was the innocent baby who had been just so reasonable. Well, that happened to me once, and once only. After that episode, I thought, right, I'm going to use a dictaphone or my phone to record the next time this happens, because I don't ever want the embarrassment of looking the police in the eye and saying, this person is lying. That is not the way round that it happened. So there were many episodes, but there's a particular one that stands out in my mind. Now, this guy lives in Gibraltar. I'm not going to say his name. He is a police officer, or he was a police officer. I think he might have retired. So I'm in the office. This was a couple of years after my first episode of a nasty customer at Dolphin Safari. A liar, let's just call it what it is, a liar, a dishonest liar. And I heard this screaming going on, like shouting, and I recognised the voice of one of our sales staff. Let's just call him Val for short. And we've had more than one Val at Dolphin Safari, so that's not identifying him. Anyway, I could hear Val's voice coming, and another voice. I thought, hit the tape recorder, trouble at mill. Sure enough, Val came marching into the office, pursued by this man who declared he was a senior and off-duty police officer with the Royal Gibraltar Police. A big bickering thing went on. They were both complaining at me, and I was trying to establish what's the dispute. It turned out that our member of staff hadn't done anything other than ask this off-duty police officer, would you like to see the dolphins? Which was his job, to ask everybody. And the off-duty police officer was not in a uniform, so Val didn't know if he was a tourist or not. He had a t-shirt and shorts on. Well, the objection that the off-duty police officer had was he didn't like being asked. He said, I don't want to be hounded I don't want to be bothered. And I explained and said, I'm sorry, sir, but we have a lot of tourists and that is the job of the staff, and it's been going on for years. Anyway, at some point during the conversation, our member of staff used a very bad word, but he used it in a very specific context. He said to this man, don't talk to me like I'm an N-word. Bad, I know. The police officer said, you just called me the N-word. To which Val said, no, I did not call you the N-word. I said, don't talk to me like I am an N-word. I mean, trust me, Gibraltar can be, well, back in those days, it was quite basic. I was like this, fucking hell, this is heated. Little tape recorders going the whole time. This guy suddenly declares, I'm an off-duty senior police officer. I'm phoning the police now. You have just committed a racial hatred crime. You have just called me the N-word. I did put my hand up at this point and say, I'm sorry, sir. He did not address you in that way. He said that he feels that you are talking to him in that way. And yes, I agree with you. That's really bad, and he should never use that word. Anyway, ton of police turned up. Of course, they're taking the side of the senior officer, this off-duty copper. And I'm sitting back, just watching the whole thing as a witness. And of course, my little one-eared axeman's been recording the whole thing behind the desk. Well, they cuffed up my colleague behind his back, dragged him out the office, and a normal PC, I think he was in a crash helmet, came in to speak to me and this complainant, the senior off-duty officer. And I explained, I said he didn't call him, he wasn't calling him that. Because this senior officer was being so abusive to him, he said, don't talk to me like I'm that. And this PC said to me, I'm sorry, but I have to take the word of the senior officer. Well, that was the point at which I said, then I suppose this is going to court, isn't it? And he said, yes. I said, then I will be coming as a witness, and so will my dictaphone. Would you like to hear what was actually said, officer? I've recorded every painful word. To which the off-duty complainant, senior police officer, went bright red. Oh my God. He went outside, they uncuffed Val, a load of them disappeared. I was left with this PC listening to this conversation, this bizarre conversation. And, and also this off-duty senior officer had said that I'd been effing and blinding and threatening him. And I said, no, I've been standing here largely silent the whole time. He was so embarrassed, he left the Dolphin Safari office. He just left, went away. All the other coppers went, they released my colleague, and I was left with one PC in the office listening to this. How embarrassing, how embarrassing. That's what that abuela did tonight. She basically told the police that we had threatened her, we had hit her, we had beaten her up. And as we stood there listening to all these sort of crazy allegations, and the police are looking at us and they've run us through the computer and they think, well, they've lived in Spain for years. They have no criminal record. They're not wanted for anything. There's no disturbance of the peace. And this woman and her little tiny friend are like, these two coppers are, thank God, getting a lick of what the situation is. Now, I use the tape recorder trick all the time in the Dolphin Safari office. And off the top of my head, I would say that of every scene, every single one of them that called the police, when the police came, they would deny, oh no, I was an angel, officer. I was so kind, and the evil Dolphin Safari staff threatened to beat me up and wanted to steal my money, and they were swearing at me. And I'd play my little tape recording. Oh, I just actually really love those moments at work. They're so satisfying, aren't they? If only there were a tape recording or a video recording of something at Buckingham Palace. I heard there was. I guess time will tell. I also heard 2 people were paid off. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I also heard a whisper that a couple of national newspapers bought the rights to some personal recordings, shall we say, evidence that may or may not exist out there. Don't you just hate those kind of people that feel that it's okay? I mean, right, there's lying and lying. Someone might lie, tell a white lie, or tell a lie like, oh God, I fucked up. You know, I've got to get myself out of trouble. But to actively go and attack people, then you are the person who calls the police or goes on Oprah and then say, oh, but I'm just a little victim. I never did nothing wrong. Fuck off. And that's how I feel about Meghan Markle. That sums her up for me. Because getting married 3 days before she got married, Archbishop of Canterbury got to come forward, if you please, and say, whoo, that never happened. I didn't break the law, officer. If only the old Archbishop had had a dictaphone. Mind you, how do you prove a negative? I wasn't there, your officer. Well, I have no alibi. I was watching EastEnders that night. I swear to God, I never married her 3 days before she... What's she talking about? Plus all the other inconsistencies. Shall we be kind to her and call them inconsistencies? Interestingly enough, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, so I won't say the name of the YouTuber. There's another YouTuber who is doing a series, I think, of asking other YouTubers about Meghan Markle and the 10 Commandments. And that really got me thinking. I mean, the 10 Commandments we all think of as something really super strict and hard to live up to. It's not actually. Thou shalt not murder. That's a pretty easy one, actually, I think. I've avoided it so far. So far, so good. Thou shalt not steal. That one's trickier, isn't it? Because that can include a lot of other things, not just shoplifting and shit like that. That can include a lot. Thou shalt not give false witness. Now, that's making shit up to deliberately put someone in the crapper, isn't it? And I'm thinking of all these things because you can steal from someone. You can steal someone's life. You can steal someone's attention. You can actually steal chunks of people's lives. If you make someone's life a misery, if you do other bad things to them, that's stealing their life. I mean, the old 10 Commandments, it's not a bad one to fly by, is it? And I know one person who doesn't fly by it. Anyway, again, thank you all for being here. I dressed up, put my pearls on, especially anyone new to this channel. Most of the time I look like a bag of shit and I'm covered in fiberglass paint, or I may or may not be pissed on occasion. I may or may not put my foot in it on occasion. I love every single one of you, those of you that agree with me, those of you that do not agree with me. I love all of the comments. This is a free speech channel. No death threats, bullying, harassment, blah, 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 blah. And I will close this, of course, with the beige of beige, wrinkly trousers. Thank you very much. I think she's called, on Twitter, she's called That One. It's pure talent and just sums up a lack of class, basically, from what I can see. Thank you all very much for listening. Look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions. Q Megsy.